Some pro heroes in the world of Boku no My Sex Education Academia have the luxury of going down in history in some way or another. Be it like All Might, whose endless heroics became a symbol of peace all across Japan, or the winged hero Hawks, who became both the youngest pro hero to own a hero agency and also the fastest growing pro hero. Though some pro heroes gain a following thanks to the decisions that they made, which retrospectively changed and or impacted society as a whole. And there's no better person to look at in this regard than the woman whose risky choices resulted in regulations, the R-rated hero, Midnight. Midnight, or Nemuri Kayama, is both a pro hero and teacher at UA in the world of Hiroaka, and she plays a role in both the main series and the prequel story Vigilantes. And while she appears to be pretty unprofessional and provocative, she's actually a very hard-working teacher who loves to support her students, especially when it comes to helping them discover a mixture of both form and fashion in their future hero lives. And the reason that she is so well equipped to deal with this is due to her own personal connection to the laws and regulation of pro hero society that she helps set in place with her work. Though before we discuss that, let's first discuss the meaning behind her name. Nemuri Kayama is a name that works just like every other name in Hiroaka, as the kanji that comprises the name holds meanings in connection to the character itself, starting first with Kayama, which when broken down, carries the characters for both scent or aroma, also translated as fragrance, and mountain, with the aroma or fragrance portion of her name relating to her quirk, and the mountain portion related to her high status in the world. Then you have her given name Nemuri, which when broken down directly translates to sleep. So altogether, her name means the mountainous fragrance of sleep, though if you remove the mountain portion of her name, it directly translates to sleep aroma, which is one of the ways that you can directly translate the Japanese name of her quirk, Namoriga, which is localized in English as somnambulance, which in itself just means sleepwalking. Somnambulance is an emitter quirk in which the user releases a natural scent or aroma from his or her skin that causes those who breathe it in to fall into a deep sleep, though it would appear that the user themselves is completely immune to the scent of the quirk. And this smell is especially effective on those of the opposite sex, so in Midnight's case, it works the best on men, but if she were to be a man, it would work the best on females. And the effects of the quirk also seem to take into effect after just a few seconds, and while there's no real listed range, the quirk's gas seems to go no further than, say, for example, perfume. But due to its nearly unavoidable effects, it's considered an extremely powerful quirk. And the only real downside to the quirk is the fact that the sleeping gas must be inhaled to take into effect on someone. So, in theory, you can avoid being knocked out if you just don't breathe in. But given how vital breathing is to living in general, it's more preventing the inevitable than avoiding the quirk. This quirk seems partly inspired by a specific part of human biology, this being human pheromones, in which scents given off by our bodies at specific locations, once inhaled, can incite a sexual response if the brain's behavioral center receives the reaction positively. Though in this case, Midnight's aroma induces a sleepiness effect as if she was sweating trichloromethane, the same way Bakugo sweats nitroglycerin. Though these two factors, the sleep-inducing and sexual response, is likely where Nemuri got her hero name Midnight from, given that Midnight is a name that works very well with the idea of sleep, as midnight is a time in the day in which people are usually expected to be sleeping. Though midnight is also where a lot of adult-oriented businesses open up and they see traffic, so the connection between human pheromones and sexual response is seen very well here as well. And Midnight, even in her youth, was someone who strongly embraced her risque side and embraced the ideas and concepts of being open with your sexuality and living life to its fullest. As Midnight, during her work-study years, designed a costume, in the loosest term for the word costume, which was meant to be visually risky but support both her quirk and her style of hero work to its fullest. This costume was then referred to as her birthday suit, and comprised of a belt, a coat, a harness, boots, and a lot of her exposed body. But given her quirk is her natural odor, this worked very well with her overall hero work, and exposing more of her body made her more efficient. So this costume was both an attempt to revel in her youth by riding the line on what is and isn't allowed in hero society, but also express herself fully, as Nemuri has shown that she is very open-minded when it comes to someone's sexual expression. I mean, her first and main teacher when it came to pro hero work was someone who was based off of Prince, so it's not too shocking that she's very open-minded about sexuality. Though due to this costume, a year after her debut, Midnight single-handedly caused the creation of new laws and regulations that limit the amount of skin that a hero could show in their costume. She claims that she might have been a little bit too much too soon. Though these ideas for someone to freely express themselves in a sexual or provocative way never really left Nemuri's own personal ideals, as she claims that one of the reasons that she does what she does in her hero work is so that she can give her students and other developing heroes something that they can use to help them burst through puberty in a safe way with her, as she is a person that they could look up to in that light. She also personally believes those who bottle themselves up are at a higher likelihood of becoming villains, as they would repress their emotions a lot of the time. So in a way, she's like a super sex ed lesson compact into a single person. And these aspects of pushing the limits on society of what's okay and not okay to wear, on top of Nemuri's own younger design, seemingly is inspired by the panty terrorist herself, Ayame Kajo, from Shimoneta, A Boring World Where the Concept of Dirty Jokes Doesn't Exist. As not only does Nemuri dress in a very similar way to Ayame when she's not working, with them both wearing full button-up blazers and glasses, they also have a similar view on both sex and sexual expression, and on top of all that, they both speak in incredibly vulgar ways. But most importantly, Ayame's Blue Snow costume is designed with a similar concept in mind to Midnight's birthday suit outfit, utilizing their bodies to help them do their jobs more efficiently. Midnight dresses down to utilize her quirk to its fullest. Ayame dresses down so that when law enforcement try to detain her, they would end up committing a lewd act which would get them arrested themselves, so they like to avoid actually going after her. Though given those laws that Midnight's costume forced into place, she was forced to revise her own costume design. And this was likely a long process, but eventually she settled on one that is seemingly based on a dominatrix, with her leather breastless leotard and long leather boots over top thigh-high leggings connected to her main utility belt via a garter belt. Along with this, on her wrist she has handcuff-shaped accessories, and to her side she has a flogger and bullwhip, which really play into the BDSM theme of her new costume. Though, because of the new law, underneath all of this, she also wears an easily rippable full bodysuit that helps her build up a good amount of her quirk's gas that she can release upon ripping, which helps counteract the fact that she is definitely less effective in this new costume. Though, in her own rebellious nature, I assume that she got it done in a color that matches her skin tone on purpose, as Midnight always likes to ride a line. Though another reason why her costume is designed that way might be a possible reference to the Marvel character Midnight from the US Archer comics. Midnight here was a whip using alter identity for Mary McGrill, and her whip had the ability to hypnotize those struck by it, which could have been in part an influence on Midnight's own quirk. Though this dominatrix look isn't something that she just picked up in response to the laws though. This is just the outcome, as Midnight has always had that vibe in her hero work. She always dreamed of her own hero agency, which was comprised of submissive men, and once she graduated, she actually achieved that. And these workers are referred to as Midnight's boys. And these men are all equally attractive, but fit into different male archetypes, so she sends them out to either gain intel or distract those of the opposite sex to her, or men who have same-sex attraction, given that she is less effective against those two groups of people. And her use of the flogging whip to punish evildoers has been something that she's had since the beginning of her hero work. Along with this, her other equipment usually allows her to subdue her targets or help her spread the gas of her quirk more effectively, as the whip itself can help her contain a target, and her fans that she carries around, which are large dancer fans, can help her spread pheromones. Though I would be lying if I said she didn't enjoy her position. She possesses a bit of a sadistic side herself that comes forth when she does her job. But Midnight's own connection to the law of hero society is likely the reason that UA asked her personally to come in and become a teacher, as Nemuri became a school teacher for modern hero arts and history, which is a job that she is more than happy to help with, even going out of her way to help her students pick out future hero names which will work best with their own future careers. She is someone who can actually see what would happen in the future given these people's choices. But Midnight was never going to be a hero who would replace the symbol of peace. Her own personal views aren't that commonly shared among other pros. She even had a small segment with another pro hero, Mount Lady, who claimed that she only did what she does for attention. Though, given her consistency throughout the series, I believe full-heartedly that while she does enjoy being Midnight, this sexually provocative hero, she does stick to her ideals and she actually believes in them. She even lives with the consequences of being as openly provocative as she is, because in Japanese society, women who act improperly tend to find themselves having having difficulty getting into relationships, as men in Japanese society have a standard for a pure person. Midnight throws a lot of these traditions away in her everyday hero life, and now she's a 31-year-old who's still single and gets hung up on people commenting about her age. This is likely a scar that runs deep for her personally and seems intentionally designed. They even have a segment where she adopts a cat. Though this commitment to her own personal ideas allows her to become an icon in her own right, being able to pull off brand deals for things such as her own personal perfume. Though she hasn't been too prominent of a figure in the main series itself, she could have had a bigger role, as Horikoshi originally intended for Midnight to be the main teacher for Class 1A, but she was replaced with Aizawa as he felt that she wouldn't be able to fit the role of a sharp-tongued teacher who would push her class enough. Though if you were interested in seeing her take on a more pivotal role in a main story, I can't recommend Vigilantes enough. Nemuri gets to really shine through that wonderful story, and we get to see her past relationship with Aizawa, Present Mike, and Oboro played out fully. Though with that all said and done, if you enjoyed this video and like to see more videos like it in the future, I have a Patreon at patreon.com/ManyNotTheBadGuy. Pledging there really helps the channel grow and helps me maintain a steady income so I can make these videos as regularly as I do. And if you want to see more of that Ayame girl that I mentioned earlier, please check out Shimonetta, A Boring World Where the Concept of Dirty Jokes Doesn't Exist at byshimonetta.com.